Hi, this is Lauren from LSP Actions, and I'm going to give you an overview using the LSP Camden Texture Overlays. There are 10 fine art painted textures included in this connection, each in a rich colour grade and also in a desaturated version to give you more freedom when it comes to choosing which texture to use with your image. These textures are designed to enhance your studio images by applying a hand-painted backdrop feel. They will also add a sense of kind of depth to your lighter portraits as well, depending on the blend mode you use and how you blend the texture with your image. The actions included will help you match and blend the texture expertly to your image. You can watch the previous video on how to use the LSP Texture Pack Applicator Action version 2 if you haven't already, or if you're unsure of how to use that. The actions included here, they will help you match and blend your texture expertly to your image in just a couple of minutes, or you can do this by hand using your own techniques. It's entirely up to you. So let's get started with which image? Let's get started with this image here by Anna Brandt. This is a straight out of camera maternity image by Anna, and I'm going to use the texture action included to place the texture onto the image. So to start off with, you play this one by clicking it, hit continue, and because this image is darker toned with a kind of a rich kind of bluey black background, I'm going to use a similar tone. So I'm going to go for Apple Cart Desaturated. The action is now placing this onto the image. I'm going to make sure the action fills the image, the texture, sorry. The action has finished playing out now, and you can see we have skin paint darker, skin paint lighter, and skin paint neutralize. Just turn system volume. I'm going to come here straight onto the skin paint with a white brush, which has already been selected for me, and I'm just going to paint over her skin to take the texture off the skin. You can also take the texture off anything else you don't want it to appear on by using this layer. You can paint directly on the texture mask here using a black brush to remove the texture from the image, but to keep the kind of the tonal colour grading, I'm using the skin paints at the moment. You could also darken areas down, or lighten areas of the skin using the actions. See before and after there, that's given the image a very rich dark texture. If you want to play any of the extras, you need to click back on the texture layer here before you play them. So I'm going to play the show on dark images. This will just lift the texture up a little bit there. You can also slide the opacity as well. You can see this has brought the texture out more on the background. Before and after. I'm going to delete these and try a different texture now to show you. So again, play the LSP texture action, continue. Let's go for something a little bit lighter and something a little bit different about the painter action. I'm going to just resize this and hit enter. And we can see that this has given us a very different feel compared to the last texture. Come here onto the skin paint action and take this off her face. Add a little bit of this darker here, the shadows naturally are. It's just kind of like a little bit of natural burning dodging there. You can use the skin paint neutralize here if you find the colour toning is a little bit much for the skin, and this will take the tone straight back down to natural. You can also come here on your texture layer using a black brush and remove the texture directly from the skin. This is the way a lot of people do it, but I find you lose the integrity of the texture layer that way, so be a little bit careful when you use that one. Okay, that is before and after. Let me just crop the image. You can also unlink the texture, and you can move this around if you want to as well. You have some actions here in the toolkit, such as flatten, undo, snapshot, vignette, and sharpen, if you want to use those. So let's add a texture here onto this lighter background. Let's use a pink, so I'll use a daub. And again, this has come in, so we're just going to place this onto the image here. Applying skin paints. If you use Photoshop Creative Cloud, you can select one of your selection tools, such as the wand, and use select subject. This will give you a kind of cutout selection of your subject, which is just a little tip that helps you select the skin so you can paint quite quickly. So I'm just going to use the skin paint here by selecting the mask and the right size brush, and just take this off the skin. Here. So using the daub. Let's try another one. Let's try dry rose. This will kind of give a greeny yellow tone to the image. Again, I'm just going to use the skin tone paint to take the texture off the skin, but keeping the tone of paint there. You can use the neutralize, I said on the last one as well, to take some of the texture tone off the skin if it's a little bit much. Desaturate the texture if you want to after adding it, and you can slide the opacity here. You just want to take the saturation down a little bit. Let's try a couple of other things. I haven't showed you. How about the matte effect? If you wanted to add a matte effect to your image, you can paint this on. And if it's too heavy, simply take the opacity down. That's given a matte feel. Can blur the texture. Remember, please always select the texture first before playing any of these extras. And again, paint this on so that gives it a blurred feel to the background. That's the dry rose. You can add more than one texture, that's both together. Play with the opacity on the textures as well. Those off. Got about this one, a nice light image. So again, play the texture action. I'm going to use one of the textures that I think is really going to show around the edges of this image here. How about impression? I'll use the coloured version and see, because if not I can always desaturate that one. I'm going to turn this around simply by rotating it, resize and hit enter. So just playing out the skin paints. So I'm going to come here, of the skin. And any areas to be darker, such as the shadows, come in here. This is kind of adds a nice fine art feel. Again, lighter, if you wish to lighten up. And neutralise, I may neutralise because it has added a lot of yellow to the skin. I don't want to take too much of that out because it does go with the texture. Before and after. Select the texture here, I'm going to add a little bit of contrast. And in the toolkit I could get and I might desaturate decrease the yellows a little bit in this texture. Do that simply by playing the action. So before and after. Here's a tip if you want to add some perspective to the texture. For example, if you're in a studio and you know the ground is going to be coming out, select the marquee tool up here, rectangular marquee, up to where the crease in the backdrop would be, maybe about there. Do edit, transform perspective, and just drag these out here a little bit. You see now the background curves out as if the backdrop is textured. Come history here. Before and after. Adding some perspective to the texture. There is a video on YouTube and also on the LSP website showing you how to add perspective to texture if you want to. So that is the LSP Camden Texture Collection. 10 fine art background textures with the saturated versions of those textures and also the LSP Texture Pack applicator action. So enjoy using them. I can't wait to see what you do. Make sure you tag me in any photos so I can see. Thank you. Bye.